Hey, Pasa YouTube, how's it going everybody? Happy for you guys today, the team building video for week 5 of the GBA D League. So of course, if you guys are excited for this match, make sure to hammer arm and that like button down below. Also, I will be trying to do the battle live. I actually have to play our opponent this week in about 30 minutes or so I'm going to try and record this real quick and then gen the team, and then we should be able to do the battle. But yeah, hopefully I can do it live since my youngest right now is asleep. But yeah, we are facing the Norwich Skitties. I believe I butchered that and I'm so sorry. But my opponent's channel link will be down below for you guys to go check out, as well as a link to the GBA YouTube channel in general. If you may have missed last week's match, definitely go check that out. We were able to come off of a pretty solid victory, if I do say so myself. So hopefully we can keep up that momentum going into week 5, which we have a bit of a tough matchup. Like, this matchup is kind of 50-50 to an extent, but there are obviously some certain threats to watch out for, but I have certain threats as well, and just you guys will hear my thoughts obviously. So down below me is the matchup. As always, the top 6 Pokemon on my opponent's roster are the main 6 Pokemon I am expecting. So Mega Lopunny, Latios, Clefable, Skuntank, and then Registeel, Skuntank, and then Dhelmise. Although he could potentially bring Electivire or Floatzel, Krookodile also doesn't have entirely too bad of a matchup. Like, that's the thing about this match, is that like 10 of his 11 Pokemon all have like really solid matchups in this game, so it's kind of hard to tell what six exactly he's going to bring, but I'm like 95% sure on the top 6. I do expect potentially either Floatzel or Electivire, but not both. I don't think he should want to bring both. Like, Electivire is really nice because as a revenge killer it could do pretty solidly, but I feel like Floatzel might be a little bit better than Electivire in this matchup, so I could see him bringing that, but I would much rather see an Electivire or a Floatzel instead of like Mega Lopunny or even Latios. Latios could potentially be very scary this game, so I'll have to watch out for that. The core of Registeel and Clefable is pretty damn annoying. Fun fact, he has 4 of my UCL Season 2 Championship Pokemon, Registeel, Skuntank, the Clefable, and the Krookodile. Krookodile does have a pretty decent matchup in this game, although I don't think he would want to bring both Krookodile and Skuntank. Like, if anything, Skuntank has a better matchup than what Krookodile does in this game, because it's really hard for me to switch into Skuntank's dual stab. Also, Dhelmise, funny enough, has an excellent matchup, because look at my team and tell me what safely switches into an Adamant Dhelmise. Yeah, not much at all safely switches into its coverage move, so that's going to be a bit of a pain to deal with. As always, shouts out to the front office homies for helping me out this week. I think the main people that helped me out were Quinn and my boy Shekel King 87, so huge thanks to them. I know T-Train and I think Polymac also put in a little bit of input there, and thanks to the Uzi Gunner for mainly helping me from the Bullet Punch Club. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So as you can see, we have the first team member here, which is going to be Zazaro the Mega Aerodactyl, which is our first Pokemon of our offensive core going into this battle. The good thing about Mega Aerodactyl is that Mega Lopunny just gives me a free switch in basically every time a Lopunny potentially KOs something on my team, and Mega Aerodactyl in general is just really hard for his team to switch into. With Stone Edge, Aerial Ace, and Earthquake, I think after Rocks, we 2 KO just about everything on his team except for physically defensive Clefable, physically defensive Registeel, and Krookodile. As much as I would love to have like Iron Head or Aqua Tail on this set, this essentially needs to be our stealth rocker, unfortunately, going into this battle. So that one free turn we'll have to use to get up rocks, but rocks are going to be really good in this matchup just to be able to get off that little bit of chip damage, so I can then ensure those 2 KOs with Mega Aerodactyl here. We have enough speed to outspeed Jolly max speed Mega Lopunny, although from what I've seen from his team building videos, he never runs max speed Jolly Lopunny, but you always just have to prepare for worst case scenario, and Jolly max speed is the worst case scenario So I really don't expect him to want to bring Adamant Lopunny because, again, he's never brought Adamant Lopunny. He's mainly brought Jolly with whatever speed creep he needs to have. So yeah, I'm expecting a Jolly Lopunny with max attack and like a couple bit of HP EVs more or less. Stone Edge does about 70-ish% to Latios, which is nice. So after Stealth Rocks and a bit of initial chip damage, I should be able to knock it out. I think Stone Edge still does about like 40-ish% to Clefable, so after chip damage on that, we can 2 KO it. Registeel doesn't take too much from Earthquake if he is physically defensive, although I'm expecting him to maybe have like a mixed defensive set because Registeel does deal with Karen Black pretty well in this matchup, so I could see more of a specially defensive set, potentially with like the Choppleberry or Shuckaberry. Honestly, wouldn't even be that bad on Registeel because we do have a Donphan, and we also have Shaman with Earth Power. So yeah, Registeel could be a little bit annoying to Mega Aerodactyl, but outside of Registeel, he honestly doesn't have too much. And then if he doesn't want to bring Krookodile, then that's even less that he has for it. I think the only benefit of Krookodile over Skuntank in this matchup, though, is that Krookodile can better deal with Aerodactyl, but then I can just run Aqua Tail for Krookodile, so it's kind of back to Skuntank or Krookodile, which again, I don't expect both to come in this matchup, and Skuntank I honestly think has a better matchup because it's really hard for us to potentially switch into it. So yeah, that's more or less the idea behind the set. Aerialist is just really nice for stab and having a move that I cannot miss, and Earthquake of course is just to kind of cover things like Registeel and Skuntank and Electivire potentially if it's not Scarf. So next off we have the second mon of our offensive core here, which is offensive Rock Polish Donphan. Now this originally was going to be physically defensive with a Rocky Helmet for Lopunny because we're not 2 KO by high jump kick on the switch in, and then he can always miss, or he may think that we'll have Protect and he'll try to switch up moves. But then my boy Uzi Gunner pointed out that offensive Rock Polish Donphan actually has a phenomenal matchup this game, which honestly I'm really happy that I did kind of switch it up because this adds a bit more of offensive pressure to our team. Yeah, it would be nice to have that defensive switch in to the Lopunny or potentially even the Electivire, but I mean we have 4 of the Pokemon still on the team that at least 1 or 2 of them can be switch-ins to Lopunny regardless, so I felt that definitely switching this to offensive was really nice. If anything, we do still have the Rocky Helmet there, while Muscle Band would be absolutely amazing this matchup, or even Expert Belt. I don't want Life Orb just because I don't want my Sturdy to be potentially broken. That's the main reason I kind of shied away from Life Orb. Although the damage output is excellent, I just don't want my Sturdy to be potentially broken. And then with Rocky Helmet, we can ensure that little bit of chip damage on Lopunny if I expect him to maybe go for a Fake Out or a Quick Attack, which he could very well have Fake Out and Quick Attack for Greninja, or just picking things off like Blaziken as well, even Raichu potentially, although he should run enough speed for Raichu if I'm being realistic. And my baby's over there if you guys saw him crawling here. But yeah, physical offensive Donphan basically 2-hit KOs everything. Like the only thing that this does not 2-hit KO is max HP Delmise, which is slightly annoying because again Delmise is really hard to switch into, so if I can just get off some initial chip damage on Delmise, maybe catch it on a switch in with the Gunk Shot, we should be able to safely outspeed it and then knock it out. The speed EVs allow us to outspeed Mega Lopunny, that is speed creeping Greninja, by 1 point, because we'll get to 194 if I'm not mistaken, and then he should be running about 192 to 193 speed on Mega Lopunny. So if it comes down to it, we can Rock Polish and hopefully guarantee outspeeding Mega Lopunny, because again, he doesn't typically run Jolly max speed on Lopunny, so we should be able to outspeed that at +2, and then late game Donphan can just go in and get a kill. Even if we can't Rock Polish with Donphan, it still is really hard for his team to switch into. Like, look at his team, nothing safely switches in to the combination of these 3 offensive moves unless he predicts correctly or I mispredict. So I really expect Donphan and Mega Aerodactyl to kind of be doing most of the wall breaking. If anything, Donphan can open up for Mega Aerodactyl to come in and just pick things off. And then again, rocks are going to be very nice for Donphan, because I think after rocks, we do actually 2-hit KO Delmise, or we have a really good chance to 2-hit KO max HP Delmise. So moving on down the line, we have making his debut, Bam Bam Bigelow, the Snorlax. Now, a curse set was actually suggested to me, but the thing I like about Assault Vest Snorlax as opposed to Curselax in this matchup is that Assault Vest just gives me that extra needed Spadef bulk to ensure that Volcarona is not a problem. Obviously, yeah, Aerodactyl can just nuke Volcarona, or if I just get rocks up. Yeah, rocks are going to be important for Volcarona, obviously, and potentially that Star Raptor, along with all the chip damage as well. But the great thing about Assault Vest is that this literally makes Volcarona not a threat at all. Because let's say I lose my potential Scarfer that I may have on this team, then all I'm left with is a Snorlax. And if I don't have the Assault Vest and I let Volcarona get out of hand, it's going to potentially plow through my team. So by having Assault Vest, I ensure that Volcarona, even like at +5, is not a problem whatsoever. And Rock Tomb, if he's only running max HP, still can OHKO him. I guess he could potentially have the Charty Berry, but after rocks, we should OHKO him anyways, regardless of what he's running. So I'm not entirely too concerned about that. But yeah, Snorlax is just mainly here to ensure that whatever special threat he has is not a problem, mainly the Volcarona. This can also be a pretty good pivot into the Skuntank, because even physically offensive Skuntank doesn't do entirely too much to us. And then this can also switch into Latios. If it goes for Side Shock, it should into a KO after rocks, and then we can potentially Body Slam. We can Rock Tomb, so something else can Revenge Kill possibly, or Heavy Slam it. I think Heavy Slam and Body Slam does slightly more damage than what Heavy Slam is doing, but Body Slam is really nice because we can get that 30% paralysis, which even if I bring Tapu Fini, Latios is not affected by it because it's not touching the ground. So if we can paralyze Latios, that could potentially be beneficial to something like my Donphan or even my Snorlax if it comes down to it. So yeah, Heavy Slam basically ensures a 2-hit KO on max defense, max HP Clefable. With Adamant 92 attack EVs, we have about a 95% chance to 2-hit KO Clefable, unless he is running the Babiri Berry, which I guess is kind of likely. But even if he does run it, Clefable can't touch me whatsoever. And then I think the roll is actually more in my favor if he doesn't have leftovers anyway. So we should be able to 2-hit KO him before he comes anywhere near knocking us out. Earthquake does about 70 to 80-ish%, I believe, the Skuntank, although he could very well be running some HP investment. Unfortunately, we are straight OHKO'd by a high jump kick, so obviously have to be careful about the Lopunny. But Snorlax is actually just really hard for his team to deal with in general. Like, I think outside of Lopunny, we can basically live one hit guaranteed from anything else that he has on his team, which is really nice. So yeah, Snorlax is just a good bulky pivot mon going into this battle. Next off, we have Greninja making his return, and this is probably the one set I am most excited for. Like, there's always those couple matchups where I think of, or I have one set that I'm just hoping will outshine everything else on the team, and this week this is that set. Scarf Greninja was actually suggested to me by Harris. Is awesome. Actually, yeah, he did kind of have a little bit of input now that I remember it, but Harris suggested that Scarf Greninja in general is really good this matchup, and I decided to go with physically offensive max attack Greninja, because the good thing about this set is that I guarantee OHKO Volcarona if it's not running HP. If it's running HP, I just need about 12% chip damage to guarantee the OHKO, and then if I have rocks up, it just always dies to Waterfall. I originally did have Rock Slide to always guarantee an OHKO on Volcarona, but Night Slash is really good this matchup, mainly for the Delmise, because with this Night Slash I have another answer to the Delmise to potentially be able to revenge kill it. Also, Latios takes about 50 to 60% from U-turn unless he's running a lot of HP investment, which I still think we do roughly over 40-ish%. So if I can find out what set Latios is, then this Greninja will be an easy way to revenge kill it. Scarf Greninja is also really good because we can outspeed Mega Lopunny. Greninja, Blaziken, potentially Scarf Kieran Black, and Raichu, or Scarf Raichu potentially, are the main reasons why I'm thinking that he may want to bring like Fake Out Quick Attack Mega Lopunny, although something like Baton Pass Power Up Punch could be a little bit scary to deal with. But unless he has, does Lopunny learn Agility? I'm not sure if Lopunny does learn Agility. But as long as I'm not below like 80%, then there's no way he knocks me out with Fake Out and Quick Attack. Plus, we have Rocky Helmet on Donphan, so I can always switch into that, and then I can always try to switch into Mega Aerodactyl on a Fake Out or a Quick Attack as well. So that's going to be really good as well going into this game. Gunk Shot is a straight to a KO on even physically defensive Clefable, unless he is running the, is it the Kabaya Berry? The one that weakens poison type moves, but there's a chance he could have the Berry Berry for Kieran Black, because Kieran Black, I've run Iron Head on Kieran Black before, so I could see him bringing the Berry Berry, or just leftovers in general, is really good this matchup, honestly. But clearly this cannot do much to the Registeel. Like, I think Registeel only takes like 30-ish% from Waterfall. So yeah, I have to severely weaken that. I think we still do a solid like 60% to Mega Lopunny as well. We could potentially revenge kill Scarf Staraptor or Scarf Electivire. If he doesn't have Focus Blast on Floatzel, Greninja can aggressively switch into that, and then Night Slash I think does about 50%. So yeah, this is kind of like the third member of the offensive core, I guess you could say, because between Donphan and Aerodactyl, we can break his team down, weaken it to the point where Greninja can just come in and get KOs potentially, or Donphan could possibly win late game is what I'm thinking. So yeah, with these 4 offensive moves, we pretty much handle everything on his team. I did contemplate bringing Modest, especially offensive, but the issue with that is that we're going to be doing less damage to the Latios and potentially the Volcarona. So with physical offensive, we can still deal with those 2 Mons while still being able to put in a lot of work and have a great revenge killer in general. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind Greninja. Alright, had a phone call in the middle of all this, so yeah, anyways, Reuniclus. So Reuniclus is really nice in this matchup because this is my main switch in to Mega Lopunny. We have enough defense EVs and enough HP EVs to guarantee that an Adamant Mega Lopunny does not 2 KOs with 2 returns. But as I mentioned earlier, he typically runs Jolly, so he will clearly be doing less damage, which is even better for us because that's less damage we can take. But Taunt Pass Mega Lopunny again could be kind of a problem because if I switch into this originally and expects that he can Baton Pass at the Skuntank, and that could also be kind of a problem. But the great thing about Reuniclus as well is that this can also just kind of chip down and wear down most of his not physical walls, sorry, but most of his walls in general in this matchup. I did kind of think about switching up Knockoff to Trick Room because Trick Room on Reuniclus late game with Snorlax and Donphan could actually be really detrimental to the Norwich Skitties, mainly because once they lose their slow Mons like Registeel and Clefable, and they're only left with their fast Mons like Floatzel, Latios, Mega Lopunny, potentially a Scarfer or something, then Snorlax and Donphan can take full advantage of Trick Room and come in and outspeed everything in Trick Room and then potentially sweep or just break his team down even more. So while that does sound very pleasing and I would love that to happen, I honestly need these top 3 moves. Like, I need Recover, obviously, because Recover, Psychic for Stab, and then Signal Beam just to ensure I have some way of hitting the Skuntank and the Crocodile, and I really do not want to risk missing Focus Blast, because I would much rather guarantee the chip damage with Signal Beam than risk missing Focus Blast on a 2-hit KO that I know I'm not going to get because I'm going to miss Focus Blast, so yeah. But Knockoff is also excellent in this game because a very scary thing about this matchup, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is that the Norwich Skitties are the only team in the GBA D League that have 3 Z-move Mons: Volcarona, Electivire, and Floatzel. Which means by having Knockoff, I can potentially scout out to see if one of those 3 could be one of his Z-move Mons, essentially. I'm expecting more or less a Scarf Electivire, or Z Electivire could actually be a little scary. Z Floatzel also is kind of terrifying to think about, and then obviously Z Volcarona could be used to maybe try and manhandle Snorlax if it gets too weakened. So being able to have Knockoff, I can potentially scout between those 3 if he brings them and try to find out which one is potentially the Z-move Mon. Knockoff in general is just really good as well because I can knock off berries, I can knock off leftovers, choice items, potentially pop a Cobra Berry on a switching in Delmise or a Latios just in general, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind Reuniclus in this matchup, is just to be the main Mega Lopunny check while still being able to kind of guarantee little bits of chip damage here and there when I need it to do so. Now, moving on to the final team member, we have Alexa Bliss, the Tapu Fini, and I know this set is a little bit odd because obviously it's only mono attacking Tapu Fini, but if you look at the matchup, realistically, Surf is only going to be hitting Registeel. And I have more than enough to deal with a Registeel, and if I can just knock off its leftovers, Tapu Fini eventually beats a Registeel 1v1 because I can just consistently Nature's Madness it down to where Moonblast will knock it out. Physically defensive again is to be able to potentially check the Mega Lopunny. Jolly Mega Lopunny does not 2-hit KOs after rocks, which is excellent. If he does go for return, we will be able to chew that, chew another one, and then potentially knock him out or just severely weaken him with the Moonblast. Nature's Madness is excellent to ensure I can get off a huge amount of HP off of the Registeel very early on in the battle, making it a lot easier for my team to potentially break and my Greninja to revenge kill as well. Haze is honestly only really here for Calm Mind Clefable, which could potentially come. Also, I guess Calm Mind Latios could be a little bit annoying, so that's why Haze is really here. I think this set was actually suggested to me by my boy Tone from the Bullet Punch Club. Shouts out to him for that. And then Taunt is going to be nice just to be able to potentially stop Clefable from setting up, stop it from getting up rocks, or trying to spread status, I guess, if I'm out of Misty Terrain. And then Taunt can also stop Registeel from getting up rocks. I guess if he wants to bring like Curse Registeel or something, we can beat that 1v1 if it comes down to it. I think that's all that really gets set up on his team. Hold on, I did originally have this down there. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, that's really all the setup mons that he potentially has. Like, Surf would be nice, obviously, to be able to hit the Delma, not the Delmas, but hit the Volcarona, but realistically, I'm probably not going to be staying in against Volcarona again with this, because again, I have Snorlax, and then I also have Greninja that can just revenge kill it. So if anything, I can just Nature's Madness it for 50%, as he knocks me out, I then revenge kill it, and then we just go from there. So yeah, Surf really doesn't have too much merit in this matchup. The speed EVs are just kind of there to outspeed a speed creeping Skuntank. If it really comes down to it, we can outspeed him and potentially beat him 1v1 if we have got off some prior damage. So yeah guys, that is going to be our squad this week for GBA D League Week 5. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about our matchup and what you think about the team. And with that being said guys, I will see you all tomorrow with the actual battle itself. So later everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in a knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.